history is an indicator of things to come, the children of God must prepare themselves to become the objects of popular hatred. In times past, Christians were falsely accused of the most dreadful crimes and declared to be the cause of great calamities, famine, pestilences, and earthquakes. They were condemned as rebels against the empire, as foes of religion, and as pests to society. Great numbers were thrown to wild beasts or burned alive in the amphitheaters. In the face of the current pandemic, we are beginning to see deeply rooted ideologies manifest themselves while simultaneously causing a division among society as a whole. What we are now witnessing will lay the foundation for the implementation of the mark of the beast and the subsequent persecution of God's commandment-keeping people.
It's become an all-too-familiar scene across the country. People getting physical over wearing masks inside stores.
You're not supposed to wear them. That's not true. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Even the school requires children under the age of 10 not to wear them. So why would I make them wear them? Why? You're so ridiculous. You take care of yourself. Bye. You're going to kill me. That's such a great thing to say to someone.
The Summit County Sheriff's Office investigating an assault over a face mask.
A woman was shopping at the Kimball Junction Walmart that you see here right behind me without a face covering on, told police she couldn't wear one for medical reasons when she was assaulted by another customer.
This Trader Joe's shopper confronted for not wearing a mask in the store. She claims she has a medical reason not to.
I have a breathing problem. My doctor would not let me wear a mask.
The shopper telling ABC station KABC that she had gotten permission from the manager at the Toluca Lake store to go maskless, but accidentally went to the wrong location in North Hollywood, where she said she...
And we are learning more about an argument over wearing a mask that led to one man dead and another stabbed near Lansing today. It happened in the parking lot of a store in Diamonddale.
Police are under investigation over the handling of a confrontation with a woman caught without a mask. Video shows an officer holding the woman by the throat after she resisted arrest.
Get off of me!
Grabbed around the neck by police, a woman who wasn't wearing a mask. The forceful manoeuvre during a scuffle yesterday in Collingwood as her boyfriend watched.
And in this first video, you can see a group confronting a man wearing a black T-shirt. That man was not wearing a mask. One shopper even seen picking up store displays and walking towards him, shouting an upset over that man in the black tee seen with no facial covering on inside of the store. Let me take you to this.
For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in divers places, and there shall be famines and troubles. But take heed to yourselves, for they shall deliver you up to the councils, and in the synagogues ye shall be beaten, and ye shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them. Thus the Bible affirms that the time will come when Christians will be declared the cause of these calamities. Already the tides are turning when mask advocates blame those that oppose masks for the spread of the coronavirus.
Sharon Stone is livid. Her sister Kelly is in the fight of her life, battling COVID-19 in this high-tech negative pressure hospital room in Montana.
Today is not a good day.
She has lupus and she's fighting for her life.
The actress is not holding back, laying the blame squarely on people who refuse to wear masks. The caption on her Instagram post, "One of you non-mask wearers did this."
Already a line of demarcation has been drawn between those willing to submit unquestioningly and those that conscientiously object to the violation of their civil liberties. The inevitable result of a conscientious objection to the rule of law, although a violation of civil rights, will be misconstrued. Those who honor the Bible Sabbath will be denounced as enemies of law and order, as breaking down the moral restraints of society, causing anarchy and corruption, and calling down the judgments of God upon the earth. Their conscientious scruples will be pronounced abstinency, stubbornness, and a contempt of authority. They will be accused of disaffection towards the government.
Police in Hammond, Indiana, stop a church service defying statewide stay-at-home orders. Neighbors called to report dozens of people heading into the Church of Christ. Officers went inside and found 30 to 40 people gathered for Palm Sunday. Hammond's mayor says the pastor ignored officers who told everyone to leave. Church leaders argued their service was essential and not subject to the governor's order. Officers issued citations.
Just hours after Pastor Tony Spell of Life Tabernacle Church in Central was charged with 6 misdemeanor counts of disobeying the powers of the governor, Tuesday's service was still on schedule.
Maybe this will be the step that actually gets his attention.
This is an affront and attack upon all Christians across the world.
That was Pastor Spell right after he was charged, saying he will still continue his services regardless.
The founders of this country had a keen understanding of the importance of religious freedom because so many of them were fleeing religious persecution. So they protected the exercise of religion in the very First Amendment to the Bill of Rights. Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, doesn't care. He's using his new coronavirus powers to shut down churches that disagree with him. The Episcopal Church is fine. They're fully on his team. But places like Grace Community Church in Los Angeles are not, and he's threatening to shutter them.
I asked you about a court decision from last week. A federal court ruled that you and Governor Cuomo violated the Constitution by restricting religious services during the lockdown of the pandemic. The court said you openly discouraged religious gatherings and threatened religious worshipers and sent a clear message that mass protests are deserving of preferential treatment, essentially saying that you treated the protesters who were on the streets differently than the religious gatherings that were on the streets.
Give us a quick overview of why you think you should reopen, given the coronavirus.
Well, first of all and foremost, it's a First Amendment right. This is the United States of America, and the government can't intrude in worship. We stand on that amendment. We're the original protesters. We go back 500 years to the Protestant Reformation. We're still protesting lies and deception for the sake of the truth. So they started coming.
Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. But who specifically? And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God, and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. The time will come when governmental powers, moved by a power from beneath, will make the observance of the seventh-day Sabbath a sign of disloyalty to the authorities of earth. Human laws will be made so stringent that men and women will not dare to observe the seventh-day Sabbath. For fear of wanting food and clothing, they will join with the world in transgressing God's law.
This morning, if passengers refuse to wear a mask on certain airlines, they may be temporarily banned from flying with them. United Airlines plans to roll out the new policy Thursday. Flight attendants will provide masks to passengers who don't already have one. If they refuse to wear one, their names could be put on an internal restriction list. American Airlines already announced a similar policy.
There's no question that vaccines and vaccination programs are vitally important to public health, and that a vaccine for COVID-19 might be our best shot of beating this pandemic. But getting people to take the vaccine, getting them to trust the government's information around the vaccine is going to be a real challenge.
In 2019, the World Health Organization listed vaccine hesitancy as one of 10 major global health threats. As a result, governments around the world were considering policies that would make vaccinations mandatory. But during the coronavirus pandemic, the threat of the anti-vax movement, or those who oppose vaccines, looks more imminent than ever before. Vaccine promoters say that countries need to start developing vaccine policies and programs now to counter misinformation.
But what's worrying public health authorities is the possibility that a significant number of people may decide they don't want to be vaccinated.
Because there's all these anti-vaxxers now, isn't it?
Well, Marina can tell you a little bit about how we...
Would you consider making incentives for people to be vaccinated, such as no jab policy?
We certainly would encourage as many people as possible.
So would you link it to welfare payments, to school attendance, to travel, maybe even going to sporting events or restaurants?
So, look, our first goal is to encourage as many Australians as possible, but we reserve the right, subject to medical advice, to take steps that might assist.
The Gates Foundation are
in favor of developing digital certificates that would certify that individuals, American citizens, have an immunity to this virus and potentially other viruses going forward, to then facilitate travel and work and so forth.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about the slippery slope in terms of continuing encroachments on personal liberty.
And the city government imposed one of the strictest lockdowns anywhere, enforced by Big Brother technology that's made a smartphone key to getting out.
Where I'm going from and where I'm going to.
Eventually, he downloaded a barcode on his phone that let him hit the road. Anyone traveling more than 100 yards from home in Moscow needs one. Police run spot checks on the streets. Even subway turnstiles won't open unless the rider has already logged the trip.
QR codes have now become the passports that allow Chinese people to move around. To get into a shop, one must show a green health code proving good health. But for those who obtain a red code and are in good health, no explanation is given. This is the case for this man, who had no one to appeal to when he just finished quarantine after a trip to a different province.
But a digital certificate to show who has recovered or been tested recently, or when we have a vaccine of people who've received it. That's his answer on Reddit, Ask Me Anything. They had a little forum.
I'd be a little concerned about that and the tracking of people and so forth, generally, especially going forward over a long period of time.
And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. The time of trouble, such as never was, is soon to open upon us, and we shall need an experience which we do not now possess, and which many are too indolent to obtain. It is often the case that trouble is greater in anticipation than in reality, but this is not true of the crisis before us. The most vivid presentation cannot reach the magnitude of the ordeal. In that time of trial, every soul must stand for himself before God. The season of distress and anguish before us will require a faith that can endure weariness, delay, and hunger, a faith that will not faint though severely tried. The period of probation is granted to all to prepare for that time.